Hello, everyone. I see the numbers jumping on our webinar in the corner. So I'm so excited that you are joining us for this evening. I think this is the highest numbers of folks that we have signed up for a webinar. So I'm very excited to, I was going to say see you all, but I can't see you all, but regardless to have you all here. We have two awesome students who are first generation, the first in their families to go to college, who attend Holy Cross, that are going to talk a little bit more about their experiences. For those that have been to the other webinars, you may say like, oh, she looks different. I have straight hair today. I keep joking, it's my incognito look. But again, still Courtney, still part of admissions here. Excited that you guys joined us. Just as a reminder, we have our question and answer part of the Zoom. So as I've said, every webinar, we want this to be interactive. We want to make sure that your questions are answered. We are here for you. So as usual, I do have some questions to guide the conversation, but I just want to remind you, please ask away. I'll ask Nicole and Esther any questions that you all are wondering about. But enough about me. I'm going to turn it over to our awesome students for them to introduce themselves. So Nicole, unfortunately, you are the first one on my screen, so I'm going to turn to you first. If you can just tell us a little bit about where you are from and where you're from, what year, and what you are currently studying at Holy Cross.
Hi everyone, I am from Boston, Massachusetts. I am a junior here at the college, and I'm a double major in psychology and LOC. LOC is one of our self-designed majors, so Latinx, Latin American Latinx studies, and I have a minor in education.
There, how about yourself?
Okay, hi guys, I'm Esther from Hartford, Connecticut, and I am also a psychology major and I'm considering a possible minor in neuroscience.
And just because our students are joining from everywhere, so there may be someone from your high school who's attending this webinar today. So Esther, can you let us know where you went to high school, and then Nicole after Esther?
Yeah, so I went to Northwest Catholic in West Hartford, Connecticut.
I went to Crystal Ray Boston in Dorchester in Boston as part of a network, so there's different Crystal Rays across the US.
Awesome, thank you for that. And can you guys tell us a little bit about what you guys have been up to since you joined Holy Cross? What types of clubs and activities have you been doing?
I can take it first, or Esther, I don't know if you want to take it first.
You can go first.
Okay, at least for me, I can say my first semester here on campus was a hybrid semester, just because that first semester was completely remote, and then coming back to campus for my first time was pretty hectic because there was a lot of COVID restrictions, so there wasn't as much clubs or organizations as available. So comparing that semester to my semester now, I've just been so involved. We have club fairs usually in the beginning of the fall, and that's where you get to sign up for everything. So currently right now, I'm a head RA for Clark Hall. It's one of the first year dorms here on campus. And in order to become a head RA, you do have to be a resident assistant for at least 1 year. So then last year I was an RA, and this year, and RAs, they're in charge of about like 30, 35 residents, and we just provide like programming and like security for the residents. I'm also involved in part of different MOSO, so multicultural student organizations, so Black Student Union, LASSO, Latin American student organizations. They also host like general meetings sometimes where we do like painting, listening to music. And then I'm also part of Latinidad, which is like a dance group here on campus. We just had our last performance of the semester last Saturday. We performed for CASA, which is another MSO Caribbean Associate Assembly. And we did our performance. So we danced salsa, we danced bachata, we danced merengue, and it's just really fun. Something else that I'm involved here on campus is I'm an education intern for Nativity Middle School. So it's an all boys middle school here in Worcester, and the college provides a lot of corporate work study opportunities. So you'll see me on campus working either at the science library or like in the admissions office. So the campus does have a lot of opportunities for you to be involved and just like to get to know your group of people as well.
Awesome, thank you, Nicole. I hope you have some time to sleep. After I heard all that, I'm like, ooh, sounds awesome, but I'm tired. Esther, how about yourself?
Yeah, okay. So like Nicole, I'm involved in a couple of MSO because I felt like coming to college, I really wanted to join people who might have like the same cultural backgrounds or just some similarities. So I've joined Asia, which is advocating students' interest in Asia, and I applied via DESE intern for this year. DESE is for it's also for Asia, but it's also for specifically Southeast Asia. And so for Desi just had a fashion show this fall, representing different cultural clothes from different countries in Asia. And I am also involved in SPOD, which is a
I think it's
a
student
volunteering site. I was gonna don't remember the
program
acronym for
urban
it.
development.
Yes, yes. So it is a major volunteering site that Holy Cross have with different locations around the city of Worcester. It's a really great chance for students to just really go into the city of Worcester, immerse into the different places, meet people of Worcester. So my SPED site is WRAP, which is Worcester Refugee Assistance Project. Because I really identify with like helping refugees and immigrants because I'm also an immigrant myself. So I was born in Thailand. And so I am also just involved in some sports such as the intramural basketball team and just fun activity clubs like that as well.
Esther, same. I'm always amazed on how much you all are involved in. So that's awesome. So, we're on this webinar today to talk about the first generation student experience, and something I've shared in other webinars. I was also the first in my family to go to college. I'm first gen American. So this is like a very personal topic to me. Sorry, for me. But you guys talked about all the different clubs that you are involved in, and that made me think of a bigger question on as first gen students, how did you find community on campus and how did you find support to succeed on campus? And Esther, I'll start that off with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think joining clubs like really helped me find people. I think meeting one subset of people connects you to like a larger subset. So I was able to find mentors in Asia who like just helps me with academic advices or meeting other people and making friends just in general. I think just having community bonding experiences and taking kind of the initiative to join certain clubs really helped me open up my environment around me. So speaking of taking initiative, I was in the spring break immersion program last spring, which is kind of a volunteering program that occurs during the week of spring break. And usually you get to go to different cities in the United States, maybe internationally as well, to volunteer for a week and really immerse yourself into the places that you volunteer in. I was placed in Kentucky and I would never really consider going there and because I don't really know any relatives or anyone there. So but it was such a great experience for me to just really immerse myself into the culture. And by immersing myself there, I was able to just meet a lot of people from different grades, seniors, juniors, and get to know them and expanding my just social circle and finding more mentors. So I would say that the best way for me to find support at Holy Cross was just joining clubs and meeting people.
Awesome. Nicole, how about yourself?
Yeah, I can say the same. So I definitely say joining those clubs and different organizations as much as you can during your first year. So I mentioned that we do have like a sort of like recruitment fair during the beginning of the fall where all the clubs and organizations are out in like our main like Hobo section, and they usually have like general meetings throughout the whole semester. So if it's like arts and craft, if it's listening to music or just like karaoke, I definitely say like even if it sounds like scary, definitely go because that's where you meet your people. And also like you do meet upperclassmen that are just so nice and you see them once in like in a general meeting event and then they become your friend on campus. And that's something that was like so like impactful for me in terms of like the Holy Cross community. It was just so warming and welcoming that like upperclassmen, people that you wouldn't consider like would be your friend or just because like they're upperclassmen, you don't know them. They're actually really nice. Everyone here on campus is really nice. So I definitely say like or joining those organizations. And at least for me, like I took the initiative to apply to being an RA during my first year. So then I became a first time RA last year. Most of my friends I made through being on RA or being in my staff for like other RAs throughout other campuses. So applying to like on RA position or an RAPE like position like that will be really helpful. And then that's where you meet your like friends and your like community here on campus.
Thank you. I also want to highlight, we have also an awesome HC First Scholars First Gen program on our campus that I know a lot of students are a part of. And I believe they also host their own like first gen graduation, which I think is super cute and super awesome. That students definitely get to be recognized as being the first in their families to go to college. But building upon that, as we know, when you are the first in your family to go to college, you may not have folks at home that know about the college process. So can you guys tell us a little bit more about how your college search process was and how you found your way to Holy Cross? Nicole, I'll pose that question to you first.
Yeah, so actually Holy Cross was not my first option. At least for Cristo Rey, the high school I went to, it has a strong connection to Holy Cross. And like I said before, like when I first came to campus in like the second semester, that was my first time on campus. I didn't tour Holy Cross, I didn't like interview Holy Cross, but something that really drew me to Holy Cross was like the and welcoming community, because I did have people from my high school who had went there and like came back to the high school and they would talk about like this community. But something that really drew me in was the financial aid and the scholarship. Like Holy Cross is, I think I might be wrong, 99 or 100% like needs based. And at least like during my application process, it was hard with like FAFSA and CSS being a first gen student, just because like my mom like didn't really know how to answer those questions. It was like pretty complicated. So I'm glad now I'm able to pass that on to my siblings. But without the scholarships and like grants provided by Holy Cross, it wouldn't have drew me in. And I know for me, I wanted to stay in Massachusetts, but I didn't want to be too far. Like I still want to be like close, so I could still commute here to Boston. It's only by like an hour away driving and like about an hour away like to the train. So I still go some weekends when I came, but like location and like I did want like a small, like nice looking school. Something about Holy Cross is that our campus is actually like really, really beautiful across all seasons. I guess I would say my favorite is spring, just because all the flowers are blooming and like everything is green. But like the campus is really nice, and those small communities and small class sizes actually do help, because then you're able to develop better relationship with your professors. So I don't know if we might mention this earlier, but something I recommend also is definitely going to office hours, because at least for me, it did help me succeed in one of my classes. I was in office hours every Friday for, I think my professor's office hours were from 4 to 6 on Fridays. And who wants to go to office hours on Fridays? That's no one. But like for me, like I needed that help in like statistics, and it actually did help, because then I was able to develop a better relationship with my professor. And then it's helpful when it comes to the classroom, because then it increases your grade, increases your participation. But like those are just some small factors that Holy Cross had that really impacted my college experience. And then now, like something I always tell people, that you're always meant to be where you're meant to be. So like even if I gotten into my first choice, I feel like something would have inclined me to come to Holy Cross either way, because you're meant to be where you're meant to be.
Awesome. Esther, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah. So, kind of like growing up, I went to like small schools in general. So I had teachers who like really cared about you and like knew you as a person, and they were like really involved in just not even just the academic part, but just like your emotional growth as well. So, Northwest Catholic, my high school was a Catholic school. So, in ties with that, Holy Cross is a Jesuit school, so they had ties there. And I was actually applying to a couple of different colleges as well. I like didn't really know what I wanted in a college, to be honest, at first. My counselor actually went to Northwest Catholic, and she actually had a picture of Diana Library on her in her office. I was like, wow, this is like so cool. But yeah, so what tied me to Holy Cross was, first of all, the small school setting. I really wanted the environment that I had, just having teachers who knew me. And I can speak for sure that there are teachers here who definitely knew me. I can definitely go to your office hours and not be afraid to ask for like a letter recommendation, ask for help, even if it's something that might seem dumb. I would also say that what drew me to Holy Cross was the small campus as well. I wanted an environment where I was able to kind of explore other places where I didn't have to really um be part of like such a big campus environment. I wanted like a smaller campus where people are close knitted because I felt like that's what I grew up with as well. And I would say um obviously the campus is just gorgeous as well. My advisor was warning me about the hills, but I applied anyway, and I loved it. The sunsets, they're amazing. So yeah, so what really drew me to Holy Cross, besides the strong academic program as well, was their study abroad program. I wanted to study abroad, and so I knew that Holy Cross has a really good study abroad program in which the amount that you pay for tuition here at Holy Cross is the same as what you would pay for studying abroad. So it just gave me an opportunity that I didn't know was possible for me, especially as a first gen college students, where you like didn't really know what was out there and you didn't really have any support for like, what resources were out there. So having a school like Holy Cross and having like a pathway to go to another country to study was what really drew me as well. And yeah, that's like basically like the main gist of it.
So have you started the study abroad process yet?
I did. I already submitted my application. I submitted one to Ireland, Dublin, and Scotland. So, and I definitely was able to ask my professor for help because I knew them so well from office hours. And I think they knew me as a student, they knew my name, they knew like who I was and everything. So I felt comfortable asking for a letter of recommendation for sure.
And do you know, because I know we do our study abroad a couple of different ways. Do you know in those two countries, are you going to be doing a traditional study abroad program where you take classes, or is it going to be more of an immersion program?
Yeah, so I will be doing the traditional study abroad program. I'm hoping to go for a full year if possible, because I was like, why not? This is like a once in a while opportunity. I mean, there might be chances for you to study abroad, but the chance for you to kind of be a college student here and study like actually like study abroad while you're in college, I think that's just like priceless.
I agree. I always tell students who are contemplating it that once you become an adult, it's very hard to take off a year of life and live in another country unless you're fortunate to have a job that takes you there. Nicole, do you have any experience with study abroad? Is that in your plans?
So I was supposed to go to Spain this semester. I applied last year and I got in, but due to like I also applied to be an HRA, and my whole thing with Spain was that like it would have been like I think 5 months in Spain, and like that was longer than like an actual semester, and with the time difference I just couldn't fully immerse myself. It would have been like I would have been speaking and taking classes in Spanish as well, and I just couldn't commit myself. But I did apply for Spain Maymester, so that's something else that like Holy Cross does offer. So if you don't want to go for a full semester, they do have Maymesters where you go like end of May and like to like the end of June, and applications come out and like are concluded like around the same time. So we'll see hopefully if I'll be in Spain for next May. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so exciting. We do have a question from a student, and they are asking about being undecided. So what advice would you give first gen students who apply undecided? It may have multiple different interests, but they can't necessarily narrow them down yet. What advice would you give them?
The good, you want to, I don't know if you wanted to answer that, Esther.
Oh, yeah, were you gonna say something
Yeah,
first? Oh yeah, you can go ahead.
I was gonna say briefly, like the good thing about Holy Cross is that it's the liberal arts education. So we have to like part of our requirements in order to graduate, we need to take at least 10 or 12 common area requirements. So one in philosophy, one in art, one in history, and that gives undecided students a chance to dive in and see exactly what they like. So they're able to explore different classes and like obviously take those during their first year. They're undecided, and it's helpful because at least you're able to declare first a major your second semester, and you have until the end of your sophomore year. And you usually first year students tackle on those common area requirements, so like a science, natural science, math, and it gives you time to like explore like your actual interests. We have classes in sociology, anthropology, psychology, sociology, and all those are really interested. So in terms of undecided, I'm pretty sure like Holy Cross will give you like the chance to explore, and by the end of your sophomore year, you'll decide like what's actually meant for you, and like it gives you the chance to figure out your likes, dislikes, and like something you may like lean. And it's okay to be undecided, or like you decide to major and then you want to like switch. Like Holy Cross is really like transparent with that, and they allow you to like switch majors. It's like a small process, but they're really helpful and supporting the students for undecided.
Yeah, I would second guess that for sure. I first came to Holy Cross, I actually had no idea what I wanted to do. So I was so grateful that there was common requirements that I could fulfill and like still explore different topics of interest. So I took a bunch of variety of classes. I was leaning more towards the social sciences, so I took a bunch of classes there, and eventually I found in psychology. Even now, like I am still like thinking about like other potential pathways or like what other majors or courses like I want to take. So I would say that you definitely have time to explore your career paths and possible majors too. I know that you might feel pressure to kind of like declare, because a lot of people you might see come like knowing what they want, but speaking to a lot of my academic advisors, plan changes all the time, and a lot of the time it doesn't work out for the better. So you might, want to do pre-med, but turns out you want to do something else instead. So I would say for me, when I first came Holy Cross, no idea. Now I'm a psychology major and I'm considering graduate school, which I never really thought about before. So I would say you have time for sure.
Yeah, and it's not like you're taking these classes for no reason, say for the common area. Say, for example, you took a class that has nothing to do with the major you declare afterwards. Part of our curriculum is that you have to take classes with outside of your major. So those classes are going to help build up those 32 requirements that you need in order to graduate at the end of your 4 years.
Awesome, thanks, guys. And I want to reiterate that Holy Cross doesn't admit based on majors. I think that's one of the beauty to give students that flexibility. And furthermore, it's actually a requirement that all of our first years are undeclared on campus, because we actually want students to explore. We want students to think about classes that they thought they would never take and to really push themselves to get outside their comfort zone. So if you're a student that is in between a couple different things or really don't know, that is a whole point of college, is to explore. And yeah, you have about 2 years to do that at Holy Cross. So it's pretty sweet. As we were talking about your path to Holy Cross, and as you were talking about, your process in high school, and how you made your way here, as you reflect on that, is there something that you would tell your high school self now that you've been in college for a few years?
I know for me, something that I stress so much, and again, like everything I'm learning now, I tell my siblings is that like grades do not define who you are. I remember in when I was a senior in high school, like I did all these extracurriculars. I wanted to have the best GPA. I wanted to have like the best grades in order to get to college. But you're gonna get into college like either way, even if it's not Holy Cross, because you're gonna be where you are. Like my statement, you're meant to be where you're meant to be. And in college, like everything is gonna be okay. Like grades do not define you. Like you're still gonna go to grad school if you want to, or even if you don't decide to go to grad school, you're gonna still be like a successful like human being. You're gonna be independent. And at least for Holy Cross, like it really immerses us to like think about who we are and who do we want to become in life. So that's something I do reflect on a lot in terms of my high school career, that like I definitely have grown so much in terms of like my personal statement and how I wanted to be in terms of like defining myself. And if it wasn't for Holy Cross, I wouldn't, as of like, for example, right now I want to be like a rising educator. So I do want to like work in the education system and like help like future students. So it's like I didn't think of that in high school at all, because I was so like committed into like grades and like, am I gonna get into college? Am I gonna have a good job? So something I was telling my high school self is that you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be okay, and you will be where you are meant to be.
Yeah, that's a great advice. I would say the same thing, honestly. High school felt like ages ago, but yeah, so I would say like what you do in high school, while they might help you with the application, I feel like what you do now, especially in college, is like what really like defines you and like who you are and like what you want to do. Because again, as I stated, plans always changes. And I think looking back, I would have like told my high school self to just stop stressing so much, because I think I was always worried about getting to a good college, like boarding college. That was such a big deal for me. And now, like looking at where are at, I'm just like shocked, like just like, everything like worked out. And I was like all worried for like nothing in a sense. I think that doesn't really matter like what college you end up going to. It's the fact that you're like taking initiative to like apply to college and doing all of these extracurricular, or like maintaining your GPA just to get into college. That's like telling more about yourself. As Nicole was stating, your grade doesn't really define you in that sense. So the fact that a lot of you guys are just joining this webinar to learn more about this experience and taking initiative, especially as a first-gen college student, to learn about the college process, I think that is more than enough for you to succeed in college. And high school is going to go by. So look forward to the future, I would say.
Awesome. What is something that, I'm trying to think, like, as you reflect on your college experiences, something that you were able to do or experience that you never thought in a lifetime that you were going to do? Nicole, I'll pose that to you first.
Wait, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. So reflecting on your college experience, right? What's something that you've done that you never think that you would do, given your background, that you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm here and I'm doing this?
So at least for like high school and my first semester on campus, it was really hard as a first year generation student, public speaking in my classroom, just because we do have a program called Montserrat dedicated to first year students, and at least for me, I was the only person of color in my Montserrat. So like public speaking and comparing like experiences, like I can obviously tell that the students in my high school in my Montserrat had like more resources and more like knowledge than me in terms of like their high school experience. And then that's something like comparing now, I'm just so more confident. I don't know if it's like the Holy Cross, like like definitely building those relationships with your professor and like my other friends giving me confidence. But now I feel like so much better speaking up, participating in class, going to office hours, and just taking initiative for myself and like my career, my resume building. Holy Cross does have a lot of resources for example, like Career Center. I take that initiative and going there and like helping with my resume. And I think all that has to do with like just being more confident in like who you are and like your skills, like and building in your personal like development. So comparing like my first year, I can definitely say that now I feel more confident in my public speaking skills and like having the knowledge and like not comparing myself much to my peers, because we both got admitted to Holy Cross and we're both here reaching towards that same like graduation goal or like towards career goals. So definitely like that improvement, definitely I was able to see.
Yeah, I want to say so for me, I didn't expect that. Well, first of all, like just getting to college, that was just like a motivational, you know, thing for me to actually like end up doing. And also I would say that it's like the fact that I felt like I gained a sense of independence while being here on campus, boarding here, living on campus, and just getting to live on your own and getting to make your own choices and setting your own schedule, because you do pick your own classes. You get so much control of like what you're doing on campus, how you choose to spend your time, what are you doing in your free time. So I would say that I gained a lot of independent and myself, and like just understanding like myself as a person. I felt that I was always a very indecisive person. Now I kind of, have a major, as I have a psychology major. I kind of like know what classes I want to take now. I know my study habits. I was able to like find a part of myself that was always kind of confused in a sense. So yeah, that greatly helped me through navigate college. Just like being on your own, just like kind of like pushes you to explore boundaries that you never really like explored. So that definitely contributed to my college experience for sure. And I would also say that I was just shocked just by how many different people I met throughout college. I just like never really expected like to make friends across varieties of different states and even like countries here. The international students, I thought it was just a great experience to meet people from different cultures and backgrounds. That was just something that was just like mind-boggling. It's just like, we're all like somehow like finding our way here at college, but from like different places, and we just all ended up here, which is really cool for me.
Awesome. Esther, I'm gonna point this question towards you because we were kind of talking about it before we hopped on the webinar. So we have a question about research opportunities on campus, and I know you mentioned that you're thinking about it. So I just wanted to ask you about your experience about looking for research opportunities as a psych major. And Nicole, I know I'll ask you after if you've participated in any, but what that process has been like. So I'll pose that question to you first, Esther.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that there are so many research opportunities at Holy Cross, just in general, not even in the psychology department. I just know so many people who's involved in research, whether it be throughout the academic year or through summer research too. Holy Cross does offer summer research where you can apply for a grant where you can get housing and meals and getting paid to do research basically. Yeah, so in the psychology department, for example, I would say first step of doing research is speaking with professors, speaking with anyone that you may have encountered, any people that you may have taken classes with. I've talked to my statistic professors about his research, and he just led me to like other different professors who might have research that I was interested in. There were times where I talked to professors who I never taken their classes, and it was really cool to learn about what they're doing for research. Another step was I went to the Career Center as well. And I talked about just internships and research in general as well. And they gave me so many information about applying for the summer research program. I think it's called the Weiss Summer Research. Where you get a professor. So you have a topic and you get a professor that will kind of sponsor that topic in a sense. You would like study under them, and they would help you with your research while you're kind of living on campus during summer and just researching with them, which I think is a really cool opportunity, which I hope to take advantage of eventually. But yeah, so I would say there are so many opportunities to do research at Holy Cross, and it doesn't have to be in like a STEM environment. The Y Summer Research is, I think, goes for all the majors. It could be like social sciences, the hardcore STEM majors too. So whatever, if you're really passionate about research, you don't need, you can definitely find a way to get involved for sure. There are always professors looking for volunteers as well, and just helpers. So yes.
Nicole, I don't know if you had more to add, but I do wanted to highlight FRAP, which is a first-year research program for students of color, something that Holy Cross has started. So I have personally, my two interns participated in FRAP and have speak very highly of the program. I have another intern who did the Summer Wise research program. So definitely a great opportunity, whether if you want to do research on the humanities side, like Esther and Nicole, or also research on more of the chemistry and biology side. We have research opportunities for students regardless of what your major is on campus. Nicole, did you want to add more to that, or do you want me to
I
ask
think
another
Esther
question?
pretty much summarized it like perfectly. I know I'm not really into research, but most of my friends are, and they did a lot of research past this summer. So if you're not doing one during the academic year, there's a lot of opportunities in the summer. You have the whole summer, and Holy Cross does give you housing for that, and then you're able to present your research in a at least in like late September, like mid-September. Sorry, I'm not really good on that research question, but I think Esther really summarized it perfectly.
I love the questions we are getting in the chat, so thank you to everyone. So a question that was asked is, what is a moment at Holy Cross, whether that's educationally, academically, socially, whatever it may be, that has made the greatest impact on you thus far? Just one moment that you can reflect on.
My
Nicole, I'll
moment
point
at
that to
least
you
was
first.
last semester. We have LASO, our Latin American Student Organization. They host their annual Noche Latina um in in the spring semester, at least towards the end of April. And that's just a moment for like alumni and like the whole campus just to come together. There's food, there's dances, there's performances. And that's just like for the Latinx community to come together. And I just think it's so wholesome because at least for me, it was the first Noche Latina, just because the year before that we had COVID, and then it was class of 2025 and class of 2023's first Noche Latina. So it was like just such an impactful moment because you're able to see like so many people that you interact with on campus that are your people and that you feel just so comfortable with. And it's just like so much support and so much loving. It's towards the end of the semester too. So like we have finals coming up, but like that's just like a stress reliever. So for me, it was just such a special and impactful moment.
Yeah, so for me, I would say it was last year, freshman semester, I would say spring semester, when I did the spring break immersion. That really helped me a lot. So I think like generally I'm like more of, like an introvert, and while I do like, like to join a lot of clubs and try to get involved, I think that joining a spring break immersion just really changed my whole like out view of like college life in general. I got just to meet like so many different seniors, friends who's like done spring break immersion, talking about your experience going through the same experience with the members of your spring break group. I think like working with them, volunteering with them, painting houses, doing the food shelter, just bonding with them. I think that really helped me open up as like to the whole like Holy Cross community on campus, I would say. After coming back from spring break, you get to still see them around campus and say hi, and just having a familiar face around campus. And I would also say that the spring break immersion just helped me grow as a person. Just like to put myself out there instead of like, it might seem like a sacrifice of like spring break where you could be vacationing, but I just thought it was just a great opportunity to just get to know more people on campus, especially as a freshman. I thought that doing that just brought me out of like this kind of like bubble around.
Awesome, thank you. We did get a question in the chat that I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to answer it. Was regarding if a student gets unpaid research or an unpaid internship. Holy Cross does have funds and grants that students can apply for that if they are getting an internship with a company outside Holy Cross will provide them a grant. So kind of turn it into a paid internship, but that paid piece comes from Holy Cross. They're also able to help students who need help with transportation. So one of my students has an internship in Boston, so she's going to be applying for a grant to get train passes to make sure she gets to Boston. If there's anything regarding more professional clothing, Holy Cross has assistance and help for students in that manner as well. So we have time for, I'm going to ask one more question on the chat, and I'm going to ask the last question of advice. So there's a couple questions that are similar. So I'm going to ask two more questions and then my last summarize in one. So the few questions I'm going to put together is, what supports has Holy Cross implemented, or things that Holy Cross has done to make sure that first gen students and or students of color are supported on campus? And with that, what are they helping with students in their transition to campus to decrease their anxiety and take care of their mental health? So that is a big question. And Nicole, I'll turn it over to you first.
Yeah, so at least my main thing is the Office of Cultural Education, the OME office here. All the staff members there are people of color, and they do their best to host office hours and just to chat. So they have like their office hours and they include food there. And one of the questions asks is, what do you know as a first year student that when you first came to Holy Cross? The answers the also the like providing support is that like they have this program called London Library. So something that don't ever pay for your books, and they just have like this extra money that they help like first gen students that are actually in need of that money. So if it's like paying books, if it's paying your flight here to campus, if it's just anything like a necessity, that office is there to support you in any cost. If it's like a roommate conflict, if it's a Title IX situation, you turn to one of those people on campus and they actually help you and they provide that support. At least they did for me during my first year, because I was having some like roommate conflicts. And something else they do is that like those MSOs, or at least multicultural student organizations, do their best to include those first year general members in their meetings, because they want them to thrive here on campus. So looking up to like those upperclassmen who are people of color, also first gen, have thrived in their yes, that the really emergency. Thrive is actually helpful because you're able to like lean on support on not only staff members but actually students. So like Esther and I said, if you get involved with those organizations, at least the MSOs, you'll find people, and they're always looking for support. And mostly the upperclassmen, they have like that knowledge of like other offices and resources here on campus. You can also turn to your RA, at least for me. When I was RA, I was always referring to the chaplain's office. I was always referring to the counseling center, or even the student wellness and accessibility. There's just so many resources here on campus, and your RA, or even during your orientation, they're gonna let you know. But that's one of the things that the college does to help like smooth that transition, that there's always someone or like you can lean on, and you're not alone at the end of the day. So you definitely have that community here on campus.
Yeah, going back on how Nicole was saying, how leaning on people in general. So I would say the Bishop Healy Committee, which is kind of a committee for people of color that helps first gen people of color just transition to college. You can go to them for any help that you may also need. I remember going on a retreat with some of the alumni that was hosted by the Bishop Healy Committee, and just talking with them about sharing common experiences and challenges that just really helped me. And like knowing that I was the only one who like been through this, and like knowing that there are support, especially of like alumni who's gone through the exact same thing that you have gone through. So I would say just support systems at Holy Cross through alumni and other students and people who are paid to actually help you, like, the Career Counseling Center, or the I like just like forgot, but there was a oh yes, the first Holy Cross First Gen Club too. Just like having people there to rely on, that is just helpful in any sense at all.
I'm going to do additional plugins too, that I don't know who has attended what webinar. So some information has been shared on other webinars, but I want to make sure that you all get it. We have the Passport and the Odyssey program, which are transition programs for high school students entering Holy Cross. And Passport is a month transition program in August, and Odyssey is a week-long transition program in August. Passport is more academic and social, and the way we refer to Odyssey is more social transition to campus. So students who are first in their families, students of color, and or international students get invited to those programs. And this just introduces students to Holy Cross and its resources a little bit earlier. In addition, on the admission side, we have partnered with QuestBridge, which is a very selective scholarship program for low-income students to provide more access for them. We are excited that we are welcoming 11 students within our first year. I literally just built fun welcome gifts for them. If you're a QuestBridge student in this webinar, surprise. So that's been an awesome thing that we've done this year. And in addition, Holy Cross has won an award from the Schuler Foundation, a $20 million award from the Schuler Foundation that we are going to fundraise and match with our own 20 million to increase access for financial aid for low-income students. And we are matching that with $10 million for student support services once they get to campus. So it's been an amazing time to be at Holy Cross. As the saying goes, we're really putting money in supports where our mouth is, and the things that we're talking about. So as we said, we're all first-gen students in this space, so I'm sure we can all be appreciative of that. So we are nearing 7:45. It is 7:44. So my last question to you both is, what is a piece of advice that you would give to all of our first-gen students and their families that are sharing space with us today? Esther, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so my piece of advice is that just relax. I think that the college application process is very stressful, especially having feeling that you have no support, especially since you're the first in your family probably doing it. So I would just say that um you don't need to like stress out too much, like knowing like what you've accomplished throughout high school and throughout your whole educational pathway is just like enough for you. Um, Another piece of advice is that if you do end up, well, no, obviously you'll end up going to college, but I would definitely say that don't be afraid to just dive in. I feel like a lot of like situation, predominantly white institution, you might feel like you're the only one, but don't be afraid to like make your step there, leave a footprint, because I mean, being a first gen is just like already like enough work in itself. So don't be afraid to just like make your own path.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Esther. I say like try to enjoy your last semester or 2 terms, because I forget like this the terms are differently, at least of high school, and that everything is gonna be okay at the end of the day. You're gonna end up doing your first choice or wherever you're meant to be, and you're gonna make a mark on like being at a predominantly white institution is hard as a first generation student, but you find your support and you find your people and you end up thriving in your classes and you end up thriving in terms of participation and just having fun and making those memories. So like just relax and know you're gonna be okay at the end of the day and you're gonna be successful.
I love it. And the last thing I will end it with is being first gen is a superpower. Don't ever forget that. So I appreciate everyone who has held space with us today. I hope we were able to provide some awesome information, some memories, moments. I hope you really took a lot from this webinar today. I wish you all a good night. Happy holidays, happy new year. If I don't see you until next year in our web